Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and thank you for tuning in today. So in Shane's presentation, he will be going over the patent, the damage found at the Pentecostal Church, the damage at the Emerald Plaza, and the blue items that were left over. So here is Shane's presentation.
All right, thanks Tracy. First, I want to clarify a photo from the previous video where Hawaii had been removed from the USNI map. Although Hawaii would be a little farther to the east than where it was shown, it's still completely missing from the official map, seen here as it is on their site, and I didn't try to pin the tail on the donkey this time. Alright, now I want to talk about DO and what it can and can't do. This is a patent for microwave transmission using a laser-generated plasma beam as a waveguide, which I got from Michelle at standtogetherhawaii.com. It details plans for a device that uses short pulses from high-energy lasers to ionize the air they travel through, creating a conductive trail of plasma that can reflect microwaves. By arranging these lasers into a ring configuration, they create a hollow tunnel or tube that channels microwaves like water through a pipe. This allows the microwaves to be contained within the beams without spreading out like they normally would. Here you can see the plasma beams arranged into a ring formation, containing the microwaves inside the beams until they make contact with a non-blue surface that contains metal or water. When microwaves strike materials containing water or metals, those materials will transduce the energy into heat and electricity in the case of metals. I'll be showing photos of objects that quote-unquote burned and the approximate order in which they were destroyed, alongside blue objects and the approximate order they survived. The city burned from the east side towards the southwest, and then the fire turned north against the wind later that evening. Here we have a tree in Lahaina that burned from the inside out, just like in Paradise, California, and the smart island of Rhodes, Greece. Water molecules are highly susceptible to microwaves, which receive the microwave energy and transduce it into heat energy, or infrared, which transmits through the most watery parts first, which is why trees burn from the inside out when irradiated with microwaves. The southeast corner of the Lahaina Pentecostal Church was also irradiated, but the only affected areas include the ceiling in the southeast corner and a wooden beam bisecting the south half of the ceiling, which housed the wire for a light fixture, another of which is seen still intact on the north half of the ceiling. This is direct evidence of directed energy, specifically microwaves in this case, whereby metals in the wire functioned as an antenna to receive and transduce microwaves into infrared heat and electricity, just like foil in the kitchen microwave. It's not combustion. It's sublimation and calcination due to transduction from microwave irradiation. The floor shows a wooden beam that covered a power line for a light fixture, which fell from the ceiling and stopped burning when it fell away from the metal wire. Looking north from the south end, you can basically see what the ceiling looked like before and after, as well as the path the energy took when it propagated through the wire. A close-up of the wire running along the ceiling shows that it's obvious this is only happening in close proximity to the wire and nowhere else. The podium and the paperwork didn't even catch fire with the wood laying right on top of it, because the wood stopped being energized when it fell away from the metal wire. As seen in Paradise, flammable materials near metals of any size, from metal dust to engine blocks, will absorb the radiative infrared heat, energy, and electricity transduced by the nearby metals from microwave radiation, and they will either sublimate into a vapor or calcinate into a solid. In Jesse Wald's video of the Koma village aftermath, you can see a few different suspicious things. The underground utility panels appear to be smoke damaged, as if there was a fire underground within the utility lines, and the cars downwind of the destroyed townhomes didn't do so well, except for the blue Honda CR-V, which only has a damaged front bumper. Even Jesse's own fence shows evidence of microwaves, because it only burned where the metal nails were, although the plants around were untouched and only died from lack of water. There's even a new bloom just a few feet away. Some of the bushes in Koma village were all dried out or desiccated and only died in small patchy spots, but didn't burn. Here we see smart meters in Emerald Plaza, which are basically 5G hotspots or transceivers for microwave energy. It looks like they couldn't handle the amplitude of microwaves they received, and they overheated and melted. This metal culvert with a stick in it is more evidence of microwaves. The metal was partially melted, and the stick is even burned beneath the ground level. This strip of removed asphalt was sitting directly above a metal water culvert that ran underground. It likely boiled, cracked, and flaked off, just like the asphalt around the non-blue cars on Front Street. It appears that a boat at the other end of the culvert may have been the target, but the beam also made contact with the storm drain at the far end, which channeled the microwaves through the tunnel down to this end, boiling the asphalt above it along the entire length of the pipe. Strange burn patterns show that some things can do the do better than others. In this photo, Eric West investigates 2 cars that were in a small patch of burnt grass, surrounded by completely unburnt structures. The aluminum and glass appear to have melted into a runny liquid, but the singed fur of an animal remains under the hood. A fire investigator determined that this particular area was not ignited by power lines or from arson, and that temperatures reached nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit to completely liquefy glass and aluminum. Grass burns at a few hundred degrees Fahrenheit, and most woods don't burn above 1,400. Aluminum can melt at 1,200, but glass only melts above 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Here we have a blue-gray Mercedes on Kalina Street in Lahaina Luna neighborhood. Blue, green, and red objects seem to have done better than most. Tattoo removal clinics also have trouble removing these colors, especially blue, so a second laser is used depending on the color to be removed. Here's a blue Chevy Silverado on Limahana Circle just south of the Koma Stream levee, which is probably the only undamaged object in the photo, aside from the dry palm leaves that should have burnt before everything else. This is a blue Jeep Grand Cherokee on Limahana Circle just south of Koma Stream levee, adjacent to 3 cars whose aluminum melted into a single puddle. It appears to have been insulated from the heat or beams, while these 3 cars to the right in the picture were completely destroyed. As you can see, the blue Jeep looks fine and could probably even be driven away. Here's a blue Honda Accord on Front Street near Baker, where cars were exploding on Front Street. Notice the bare concrete rings around most of the cars where the asphalt boiled away, except for the blue Honda. Here's another angle of the blue Honda Accord that was near the intersection at Front and Baker, where cars were exploding in a line down Front Street. These are the blue umbrellas at Tommy Bahamas on the corner of Papalaua and Front Street. They appear to have been insulated from the heat somehow and completely outlasted the metal building behind them. This blue Ford Focus was stuck at the back of the traffic jam trying to turn north onto Front Street from Papalaua Street. In the video this is from, its hazard lights are seen still blinking, and it could probably even be driven away. These blue t-shirts were found on the west side of Front Street across from the brewery, the only apparel to survive the fire. Only 13 boats survived, mostly at the southern end of the harbor, plus the Atlantis, which was shielded by the blue bathrooms. All other boats were destroyed up to a quarter mile out to sea. Also, about 75 to 80% of the banyan tree survived and is expected to recover. This boat burned or sublimated and calcinated while anchored almost a quarter mile out to sea. All that's left of it is the blue inner hull. Here's a blue paper brochure near Front Street at Lahaina Luna Road. I guess paper does beat rock. Also, note the small beads of solid rubble underneath. This is evidence of calcination via microwaves. This is the center of Lahaina town, at Front Street and Lahaina Luna, looking north. On the left was Cheeseburger in Paradise, and the only undamaged object here appears to be the blue mailbox. This was Wyola Church. Notice how all the boards are equally energized along their entire length, with very few combustive flames actually present. This is not a natural burn pattern. A plastic trash can in Waiakuli was found just a couple feet from burned fence posts and about 10 feet from an exactly half-burned vehicle. Why did the front of the vehicle burn when the wind was coming from behind it? It appears that the cleanup crew missed a trash can in one of the last areas to burn, or sublimate and calcinate, via transduction from microwave radiation. This brings us to the end of the due discussion and the unusual damage seen in the aftermath of the Lahaina fire. All of this information and more can be found in my WordPress article, Towards the Danger, the Democide of the Hawaiian native capital of Lahaina, Maui, where I cover all of this and several other aspects of the fire, including an extensive timeline of events that will get updated over time when new information or developments become available. That's all I have for today. Thanks for having me on, and back to you, Tracy.
So I hope you guys found that information helpful. I do want to acknowledge that I understand that this information is very hard to accept, and it's taken me a while. When I first heard about these things, I thought it was crazy talk when I heard people discuss how they thought it happened. So I just wanted to let you guys know it's a lot to take, and if you feel overwhelmed, I understand. And I just felt, because I heard this and now I have a deeper understanding, I just really wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope you guys found this somewhat helpful. And if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. And subscribe if you have not yet. And I will see you all next time. Bye.